It's time, America.
Okay, so this is actually not almost hot off the press, but this is hot off the press. So we're about to have a news conference on the Brown shooting. I'm going to try to bring that up on the screen for you guys. Just give me a moment while I work on this.
More videos are coming out. Maybe that was helpful in this case, and then finding this connection with the MIT professor. Jason, Pat, thank you so much. Maybe hang tight. Just a bit here. We appreciate your insight on this.
All right, I'm going to try to bring it up on Channel 5. Hasn't begun yet.
Big factor to the investigation of what happened at Brown University as well. Police have said now that this person is connected to both of the cases. We do not know the exact connection here as to what that is.
So they're now saying that the MIT shooting, as we speculated a couple of days ago, does seem to be related to this.
They can't end with this, and because the bottom line is, the police work better when the public calls in the tips, and we've seen that time and time again, and that's going to be true in this case as well.
Then finding this connection with the MIT professor. Jason, Pat, thank you so much. Maybe hang tight. We might come back to you in just a bit here. We appreciate your input.
DePetro is reporting it was moved to 5 p.m. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
Because, this is a big factor to the investigation of what happened at Brown University as well. Police have said now that this person is connected to both of the cases. We do not know the exact connection here as to what that is. But we do know that this is part.
Ashley, I'm sorry about the health issues. I hope you're feeling better.
Investigation here. Sherman Zachetti, she is live right now in the newsroom because you were there after.
Truly, you know that.
After police got there to the scene, what can you tell us? Well, the one thing that I'm looking at these.
Let me bring on Channel 5.
Down in Providence, right?
And we didn't have, no video has been released that we've seen out of Brookline. And remember, it's been, certainly my experience in covering the news is that police release these images when they need the public's help. And you have to ask, do they have these images in the case of Brookline, and whether or not they were able to make connections, without needing the input of the public. I was there yesterday.
Okay, that should fix the echo. Sorry about that, chick. That's what happened when I ran into this real quick.
There, working it as a very,
didn't have time to properly set up. Is the echo gone?
Neighbors out there telling me they were unsettled. Certainly, many of those neighbors are longtime neighbors. They've lived in those houses for more than a generation. I talked with one woman who.
So this is Channel 5
40
from Boston.
years. So they were definitely unsettled
Thanks,
by
Chick.
this, but they trusted that
Andy.
the police were doing their jobs and that hopefully they would find who was responsible. Some of the neighbors also telling us they heard 3 gunshots when this shooting happened on Monday night. It was around 9 o'clock, and there were reports from the scene that a car had fled from that street. It's the houses on that street are very close
the echo
together.
was caused by me not being fully set up.
Director of MIT's Plasma and Science Fusion Center, Nuno Loureiro, he lived in a brownstone and he was shot in that brownstone, in the lobby of that brownstone. Also, he's 47 years old, married with 3 children. So far, police, they haven't shared a suspect or a motive. And so there's still a lot of lingering questions about what prompted this, what the connection
Good luck with your surgery,
is, in fact. And so there's still a lot of unanswered questions about this. But we knew that this was a very active
it seems to be the same
investigation,
suspect.
even just yesterday.
Well, and Sharma, to your point,
And I'm wondering if this is connected
it does,
in a
though,
loose way
appear
to
that he was the target of that, right? I
attacks
mean,
in
this
Bondi.
individual sought him out at his home. This did not happen on the
taking
MIT
place during
campus.
Hanukkah.
It was at his home in Brookline. So the question now
And
becomes,
I was told
if
this
there is the
morning that this
connection, it's the
MIT
same
professor
perpetrator here,
was Jewish. I don't know that
what's
for
the
a fact,
motive?
but somebody in
What's
our
the
chat this
target
morning
at
gave us
Brown?
that information.
Yeah. Right. What's the motive?
so you want-
and that's I'm assuming what police are trying to put
The
together
images of
right
the
now,
shooter
looking at the connections
in
between
Providence
what
does look
happened
Middle Eastern, but
on
it's hard
Gig
to tell.
Street in Brookline on a quiet Monday evening and what happened at Brown University on a Saturday afternoon.
I'd be
All right,
curious to
Sherman,
know
thank
what
you
was
so
being
much. Let's
taught
take you
in
live
that
right now on the
class.
ground in Brookline right now, where John Atwater is live near the scene of where all this unfolded involving that shooting of the MIT professor. John.
And Jessica, you were just talking with Charmin about the differences in these neighborhoods. One of the big differences down in Providence next to Brown University, that is an old established neighborhood of large single family homes. So police were able to get video from, say, Ring cameras from those homes. This neighborhood, slightly different in terms of the makeup, a lot of multifamily homes, 2-unit homes here. And as far as we can tell, maybe not as many cameras, although investigators may have images that they have not yet released to the public. But of course, we have not seen those images yet, only those images that came from near Brown University. Now, just behind me, this is that MIT professor's brownstone that Charmin was talking about. You can see the door there. That is the lobby where that professor was shot and killed. So again, that was Monday night, less than 48 hours after the mass shooting
the MIT
at Brown
shooting
University.
and the Brown
So,
shooting.
of course, so many questions. If this is indeed the same person, how they arrived here in Brookline. It's about a 50-mile drive. Was it a drive? How else did the person get here? Still so many questions. But Charmin alluded to this. This neighborhood has just been on edge for the last few days because they've really gotten no answers. It really has been a mystery as to why this professor was shot. Was it targeted? Was it random? We do know he was obviously a professor at MIT, and we had that mass shooting in the engineering building at Brown. So all of these pieces may be coming together. There may be some connections that police are making at this point. But another live look here on the ground. You can't see it from our vantage point, but there are candles and flowers on the doorsteps there, and people here just waiting and hoping for an arrest.
All right, our John Atwater Force live in Brookline, bringing us up to speed. As I mentioned, we have News Center 5 crews spread all across New England. We have crews in Providence. We have crews in Boston and in Brookline as we are running down tips. As this is very actively moving, what we have now learned is that police have identified a person that they believe is connected to both the killing of the MIT professor Nuno Loureiro in Brookline on Monday and the mass shooting at Brown University on Saturday. Same person, possibly connection.
And we were awaiting a press conference at 4 o'clock. If you see, we can take you there live right now. We have learned that has since been moved or delayed. They have not said when they will come to the mics, when they will come and give an update here, which could be a good sign that they're making some progress in the case of finding this person of interest. But again, when they do come out to give us an update, we'll bring it to you live right here on News Center 5.
In a world where so many banks are based elsewhere, at Brookline Bank, we think you'll find our commitment to local banking can make a world of difference. It's banking.
I'm sure a lot of you guys that are local here are familiar with Brookline. Maybe you've been to hospitals there. Brookline is a very nice area, and Boston College is basically in Newton, but a lot of Boston College activity takes place around Brookline too. It's a very nice area. I used to have a girlfriend that lived in Brookline and spent a lot of time there, and it's a nice spot. Very kind of upscale. I'm just going to check and see what else is going on in the news. So it says on CNN, police are investigating potential ties between the Brown University shooting and the killing of an MIT professor. Brown University faces scrutiny over its surveillance network. Brown says it has an expansive network of security cameras on campus with more than 1,200 installed in buildings with both interior and exterior locations. Despite that, a shortage of visuals from the school to aid the search for a gunman who killed 2 students and wounded 9 others last Saturday has led to sharp questions about surveillance at Brown. Law enforcement has released a series of videos from nearby homes and vehicles showing that what the FBI has called an unknown suspect. The news conference has been delayed. And officials just said that as to when it would be rescheduled, they said soon. Rain arriving in Providence on Friday may further hamper the investigation. All right. Police are investigating potential ties between the Brown shooting and the killing of the MIT professor. Police are looking into potential ties between Saturday's shooting at Brown University and Monday's fateful shooting of a Massachusetts MIT professor at his home in Brookline, according to law enforcement official close to the case. Authorities are investigating the possibility based on information that has emerged in the last 24 hours, stressing it was not definitive. The nature of the information was not immediately clear. The new information could widen the scope of the investigation from an isolated incident to a person who potentially has multiple agendas with the 2 separate acts of violence. If the same person is connected, they would have had to travel from Providence to Boston approximately 50 miles. And it cautions, keep in mind, other investigations have shown that there can be a connection that appears to join 2 cases, but when played out may turn out to not be the case. The top story at CNN is inside the Justice Department's race to redact some Epstein files. Trump signs executive order expediting marijuana reclassification. President Trump signed an executive order Thursday to expedite the reclassification of marijuana, an effort to increase research on its medical use, but not fully legalize it. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments, Trump said. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact. Cannabis is currently considered a Schedule I drug, along with heroin, LSD, and ecstasy, which are not considered to have acceptable medical use, according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. It will eventually be reclassified as a Schedule III drug, which, according to the DEA, have a moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence. The facts, said Trump, compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered. In some cases, this may include the use as a substitute for addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers. Trump's action does not federally legalize marijuana, though the drug is already legal in several states. The order does not affect recreational marijuana and does not include any criminal justice changes. No comment. Just looking through the headlines. Six dead after private jet crashes in North Carolina. Tom, that's in your state. You're not there, so there's some home news for you. Let me just remove myself from the room for 1 second. And
Soon as it happens, let's take a short break and come right back.
Yeah, that Xfinity picture quality is insane.
The best college and pro games all in one place. This is my fantasy football, watching these games with you.
You ever tried pancakes and guac? You're about to. Yes, let's go! I got a little recipe.
Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for metal. Visit our Boston store today.
There's no place like home for the holidays, and no place like the Jeep Wrap Up the Year sales event for great deals on the most capable Wrangler ever, or the most luxurious vehicle in its class, the Grand Cherokee, from the most awarded SUV brand. Hurry in today and wrap up the year with no monthly payments for 90 days. Jeep, there's only one.
Right now, during the Wrap Up the Year sales event, lease a well-equipped 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee for just $339 a month. Hurry in to visit your Jeep brand dealer today.
This December at Bob's, give the gift of my Homeworks Kitchen Island, my Brady gliding recliner,
Okay, I'm
my
back.
trendy Aspen sofa, my super cozy sploosh
Take
chair,
off this
or
commercial.
Back Chadwick bunk bed when you holiday.
I'm leaving it on Channel 5, and just in case they do break in with the press conference. Ashley, who actually lives in Rhode Island, said the area around Brown has their security officers and Providence police heavily monitored since then. School security for students have been increased as well for access to the buildings. Wiley says police have identified the person that did the shooting. Where are you seeing that? We'll go to it if you know where you're seeing that. Let me refresh the CNN page and see if anything shows up. Where are you seeing that, Wiley? Thank you, Jolie. All right, we can go to Fox News to fight our way through their infomercials. And you guys are correct. Suspected Brown University gunman identified as investigators explore connection to MIT
When
site.
heating fails or a pipe bursts, you need reliable help. CMS Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your trusted local expert, serving our community since 1976.
Pause that commercial. Let's see. Investigators in New England have identified the suspected Brown University shooter and are looking into whether there was a link to the murder of an award-winning nuclear scientist 50 miles away at MIT. So remember, we're hearing that there was DNA that may have been found on unspent shells. So this could have been how they matched it up. He remains at large, and authorities have obtained a warrant. So there is a warrant out for somebody. Earlier this week, FBI's Boston special agent in charge, Ted Dox, told reporters that investigators were sharing intelligence regarding both cases, but had not come up with a clear tie. Unverified reports in both Providence and in Brookline have described Nissan Sentras at the scene, although they were described as having license plates from different states. On Thursday, the regional CBS affiliate, WPRI TV, reported that senior law enforcement sources said they have discovered evidence of a connection. It's unclear what the evidence is. A masked gunman barged into a lecture hall at Brown University in Providence around 4 p.m. and killed 2 students, injuring 9 more. There's an image of the classroom. What time was this? So the gunman attacked in Providence around 4 p.m. and he attacked in Brookline at 8:30 p.m. Plenty of time to get there. Luniero was a renowned nuclear physicist, director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, and a recipient of Presidential Award honoring his research from the White House earlier this year. And here's the apartment building where he was shot. Like I said, these are all very nice apartment areas. All right. I still have Channel 5 on my TV, so I know we're not missing the press conference.
4:30, a potentially big break in 2 major cases. Sources are telling 5 investigators authorities are investigating a possible connection between the mass shooting at Brown University and the killing of that MIT professor in Brookline. That is different from what the FBI Boston agent stated earlier this week, that there appeared to be no link.
And tonight we are continuing to wait on a news conference with the Providence mayor. As you look live in Providence right now at an empty podium other than the microphones and the investigative leads in the case. Any new information on that? It was originally set for about a half hour ago. That has been changed, obviously, because of the developments of the moment. And we will bring that to you when and if it does happen. Thank you for joining us live in the newsroom on a very busy day. I'm Ed Harding.
And I'm Maria Stefanos. So here's what we know right now. Let's set you up. 2 students, as you know, were killed. 9 others were hurt when a gunman opened fire inside a study session inside the Barrison Hawley building at Brown University at around 4 o'clock, just after 4 o'clock Saturday evening. Tonight, all of these days later, Rhode Island Hospital tells us 6 patients are still there and in stable condition. 3 have been released.
And then on Monday, MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was found shot in his apartment building in Brookline. He was 47 years old. He was a director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. Our Emily Maha is live on the Brown campus right now to kick off our coverage at 4:30. Emily.
Well, Ed, Maria, you can feel this buzz in the air here at Brown University. For days, this entire community, staff, students, people who live around the university have been waiting for any kind of updates, any kind of information. Every single day, many people here tune into those press conferences with the police department, hoping to learn any information that may provide some kind of leeway onto the person responsible for the shooting that happened inside the engineering school here behind me. I want to give you a look at the memorial of flowers here outside of the building. You can see some young people gathering here right now. We've been watching for an entire week almost. These students come and dropping off flowers, taking a moment to take in everything that's happening around them. I had the opportunity to talk with a staff member at Brown University just a few hours ago, and she told me it feels like they're living in this surreal universe. She said it's difficult to think about anything. It's difficult to focus on the task at hand. I've since been in touch with another staffer here at Brown since we started to learn all of these developments that police have identified a person they believe is connected to the shooting here at Brown, as well as the shooting death of that MIT professor. And that student was like, that staff member was like, I just hope that this can provide us some answers, maybe provide us some closure that we've been looking for. He tells me that it's been a very unsettling time to be here on campus with very few answers. So again, a lot of people in this community just hoping to learn more information tonight. Again, that press conference was set to be at 4 o'clock at the Providence Safety Building. That's just about 10 minutes here from Brown University, but we know it's been pushed off. Hopefully we will be learning more information in the coming hours, but at this point, still a lot of unanswered questions here, a lot of unsettled tension, a lot of unsettled energy, and a lot of concern and anxiety as we all wait to learn what's coming next. Ed, Maria?
Unsettled tension. All right, Emily, thank you for that. Speaking of the press conference, let's get to our Brittany Johnson. She's live where that press conference will be held. It's supposed to happen a half hour ago. Hasn't happened yet. Brittany, take it away.
That's right. This press conference was supposed to start at 4 o'clock. Understandably, it has been pushed back. We don't know the exact time right now. That's because law enforcement agencies have been busy tracking down leads across multiple cities, towns. This investigation has spanned into Massachusetts. So we do know that. Again, we have so many questions that we want answered regarding these latest developments in this case. And we are here at this press conference. We will ask those questions and try to get those answers for you. But again, as soon as this press conference starts, we will be here. We will bring it to you live. We do know it has been pushed back, but right now we have not been given an exact time as to when this press conference will start. But again, we are here and we are ready to ask those questions that everyone wants answers to regarding the latest developments in this investigation. But for now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Brittany, thank you so much for that. As you can hear, there is a buzz inside that room right now. So as we mentioned, the two cases are connected. Let's take you from Providence to Brookline right now. Our John Atwater is live on the scene right outside the MIT professor's house. John.
And Ed, there is new hope in this neighborhood tonight that police could be closer to making an arrest 3 days after this murder. Now, this horrific crime, it all played out just behind us here. MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was killed right in the lobby of his building where he lived with his family.
Yes,
now,
Joey, they happened
little
in the same
information
day.
released about
So it
this
happened,
horrific
the shooting
crime.
in
There
Brown
were
was at
reports
4 and the shooting
Monday night of a
Brookline
car
was
taking off
at
after
8:30.
neighbors heard a series of gunshots. That was around 9 o'clock that night. Police have not released any images of a car or a suspect in this case. It's not clear if they've been able to recover any video. So, of course, for people who live here, a lot of questions, and neighbors, they have been stopping by to leave flowers on the professor's doorstep.
No, I have not talked about who was in the plane crash. I don't
Kind of
really.
like it's just really scary. And being so close to
I think
home.
they were an NASCAR
And like
family?
there's so many, like it's such like a residential area. I feel like there's so many like Ring cameras and stuff.
So you hear it there. This murder really has rattled neighbors who live here. There have been so many questions about why
Biffle
this
family, I
professor
guess,
was
that's the name.
killed. And
Graffiti
until
kind of-
someone is caught, many people here will
family.
certainly remain
I don't follow
on
NASCAR,
edge.
so I don't really know who
We're live
that
in
is.
Brookline. John Atwater, WCVB News Center 5.
John, thank you for that.
All right, former Rhode Island Attorney General Jeffrey Pine spent 10 years as a criminal prosecutor in the Department of Attorney General, prosecuting dozens of capital cases and high-profile homicides. He was elected Attorney General back in 1992, and I covered you back then, Attorney General, and it's nice to see you now, and it's for a terrible reason, but we would like to just sort of parse through all of the moments that have led up to this and what possibly is happening now. Very active scenes all around here in Massachusetts. So let's start with what's happening now and what you can tell us about what this investigation, what stage it's at right now.
Well, it's at a very sensitive stage right now, because if they've been able to identify a particular individual, if they then have knowledge of his whereabouts, then they're closing in, and it's very sensitive. Obviously, significant developments in the last 12 or 24 hours. I'm guessing that once you have that second crime scene, they're able to make the comparison either with ballistics or other forensic indicators like DNA or fingerprints or something of that nature that allowed them to have a break in the case.
You know, and just to pick up on that, we're around the 100-hour mark where they didn't have any movement, and suddenly there is a movement, there's a connection. We always hear that the first few hours are vital. We're 100 plus hours into this already, Jeffrey.
Right, and they certainly had some setbacks in the first 24 hours, which affected the course of the investigation, but the fact that they've now been able to establish a second crime scene and to make a link between the two, if that's in fact the case, that is extremely important and has allowed them to pursue this particular individual. I'm guessing, and I don't know, obviously, I'm guessing that they did a comparison of either shell casings or DNA evidence that may have been left at one or both of the crime scenes.
So when they're making that connection, that perhaps broke this case wide open and said, okay, now we can start investigating. But it wasn't until Brookline that Brown University that we were able to start moving forward in this case. It was day after day after day of relatively no new leads and no information.
Right, and you know, all they had as of 24 or 48 hours ago was enhanced video of the possible suspect here in Rhode Island. But I'm pretty sure that they made a link between the two homicides and were then able to make an identification. As I said, there's been no arrest yet, so we're at a very sensitive time. I'm wondering how much the law enforcement authorities will be able to tell us at the press conference whenever it does take place. But from everything that you're hearing and that I'm hearing, I think they're very close to making a significant development here.
And as the former top cop in Rhode Island, I would imagine you can give us at least a hint, obviously, that it would appear it's moving quickly now, right? I mean, we're at the point now we know who, now we can find where, and it's just going to be a point of moving in from the circle till they finally have him.
That's exactly right. Once they're able to identify a name or a face or anything of that nature, then they can pretty much locate through technology where that individual has been and is now. And so that's why I say it's extremely sensitive. But once you have a name or a face or any kind of a plausible identification, that's a huge break and allows them to then close in.
Close in, but like Ed was saying, we're 100 now, and that's a long time, and you can leave this area in that amount of time.
You could be anywhere in the world.
You could be anywhere in the world. So that's a concern as well.
And I think, and I don't know, again, we don't know the nature of the link between the two crime scenes or the two homicides, but if they had not been able to establish that kind of link, then I don't think we would be in this position right now.
Then let me just say something to you, Attorney General. The FBI stated earlier this week there appeared to be no link. So why come forward and say something like that? Not definitive, but said appeared to be no link. And now we're saying that link is critical.
Yes, and I think based on what their state of the knowledge was at that time when it first took place, which was a couple of days after, I think they had no credible evidence to suggest that there was a link. However, that became a second crime scene, and therefore, once they do the testing, they're able to do a comparison between that crime scene and any evidence left there and the Rhode Island crime scene. So I think the testing itself may have taken 24 hours or 36 hours. And then obviously the law enforcement people are talking to one another constantly, and therefore that gave them the break.
And Jeffrey, our reporter on the scene, Emily Maha, just said there's an uneasiness not only in Rhode Island but in that Brown area still. Even with the information we know now, there is still an uneasiness there.
Sure, it's been a difficult week. I work in downtown Providence. I live nearby, and the streets are a little bit different. The atmosphere is much different, especially around the Brown East Side area. It's been a very tense and stressful week for Providence residents and for everybody until the person is caught. Then he's not caught, he's at large.
Former Attorney General of Rhode Island, Jeffrey Pine, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for take care. Law enforcement is asking the public to call, and we've shared this number with you, but we'll share it again. 401-272-3121 with any information on the shooting. There is also a dedicated FBI website. It's fbi.gov/Brown University shooting. We have both of those on our WCBB app and website, as well as the maps and the videos and the timelines of the persons of interest.
This is a story that continues to unfold, continues to break at this hour. We'll be right back.
'Twas December at Bob's when savers do seek perfect gifts at low prices.
Discounted and chic. We're talking 3 power reclining sofas for just $9.99 or less, like this feature-packed tuxedo sofa with power reclining seats and headrests and wireless charging, or my stylish Athens sofa in 2 colors, and my mighty Viking sofa.
All right, so we're still waiting for this press conference. Thank you, Nancy. She says Court TV just reported that a rented car that matched license plates was spotted in both areas. Warrant has been issued, Mao. Yep. Looking through your comments. Thank you for being here, guys. We'll all work out these things together. We'll look to our own sources for information and share it with each other, and that way we'll stay the most informed as we can be. Does anybody know what I guess it was some kind of a seminar or something, or lecture that was outside of the normal school class curriculum because it was during break. Does anybody know what was going on, what they were teaching in that classroom that day? What they were working on? Let me know if anybody's heard anything on it. It was actually finals then, but that's different than what they're reporting, though. They're reporting that it was. That's why they aren't able to get an exact listing of who was there. Is mentioned the connection. Betty, what do you mean? It was a study group for economics. Okay, thank you, Betty. So a study group like for a finals? And the building was engineering and physics. Okay. So this guy could have been like a Unabomber that has it in for technology. I wish we had the budget to send you around the world, Tom. It could be terrorism that's Israel related, but we have to find out more, you know. It could be something completely unrelated to that. The fact that this is an MIT professor who worked on fusion, and it was in a science building where on Brown, suggests a possible something like the Unabomber who was against technology. We always have to be careful not to rush headlong down the corridor of a theory until we have more information. Right. It was a study class yesterday. Yeah. Okay. I may have to leave at 5, but what I can do is leave it on so you guys can continue chatting, and the press conference will come on. I'll put the volume up if I do that, and then I will be back probably in about 20 minutes. No, there's no indication that the police know where he is. There seems to be an indication that they know who he is, but there's no indication that they have any idea where he is and whether they're close to tracking him down. My guess is that they got DNA, because I had heard that before. They got DNA off one of the shell casings, and from that they were able to get a match to a person. Channel 5 likes to fact check one side but not the other. It's just unfortunate. We just don't really have objective news anymore. It's all one side or the other. And Channel 5 is one of the worst. They would never put a headline up for a Democrat president that says, "Get the facts." Never. And both sides exaggerate and make claims that are less than factual. And always have. Yeah, sorry, Grandpa Monsa. And Channel 5 is one of the worst. Channel 5 is borderline just outright disinformation. I like the idea of a CNN, but CNN is pretty bad too. They're just as bad. But I mean, I wish there was a network that was just neutral and objective, just wanted to cover the news, or at least look at things from both sides. But there is no channel that wants to do that. I absolutely do not find Fox to be any worse than CNN. I can go to CNN every day and look at their headlines, and it's going to be, you can predict the stories. So they're both just as bad as far as I'm concerned, as well as ABC News and Channel 5. It's frustrating. I don't really understand why someone couldn't just say, let's give you the news as best we can. Yeah, same with Fox. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Fox did serve the role. I remember when it first came on the air, there was a monopoly on the news before that. You didn't hear anything from the other side. You couldn't. It was the left and the Democratic Party had a monopoly. Now it's a whole bunch of stuff on one side, and then at least Fox News has some balance off it. But yeah, they're pretty bad too. I don't know who Brian Enton is. I mean, I'll watch people like Bill Maher even, he tries to kind of hit it a little bit from both sides. Not that that's a news report, that's comedy, but still, it's not that I agree with everything he says, far from it, but he's trying to look at it from both sides. Oh, they shot the final scene from Shawshank in St. Croix? Wow. I remember that scene. That's one of my favorite movies. So they had to fly Tom Hanks and the rest of the cast, or at least some of it, down there for that last scene. But I'm sure they didn't mind. I'm sure they had a nice little retreat on the island. Hey, Ronnie. All right, so I'm going to leave it going for a little bit and step away. So I'm going to leave Channel 5 on because I know they're going to cover the press conference. But
now, as you can see, the podium is set up. We're being told the briefing has been delayed because of fast-moving developments. You can obviously understand that in the investigation. We do have crews there. Bottom line here is when and if it does happen, you'll see it live.
Arrest could be imminent, right? Hopefully. All right, I'll be back.
This December at Bob's, give the gift of my Homeworks Kitchen Island, my Brady gliding recliner, my trendy Aspen sofa, my super cozy sploosh chair, or feature-packed Chadwick bunk bed when you holiday the Bob's way.
Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Age is not just a number. It's what makes me fierce, knowledgeable, strong,
confident about taking risks in life,
unapologetically owning every moment,
resilient, hopeful, resourceful, and unapologetic,
fearless. And I'm finally at that stage where I appreciate that.
Age is what has given me wisdom. Age is what has given me I don't give a
Age is not just a number.
It is what makes me a force.
And I'm learning to really, truly embrace it all.
Ready to cook smarter and eat better? Meet your new kitchen sidekick, the Delish app. With 10,000 plus recipes made for real life and new ideas every day, cooking just got a whole lot easier and way more fun with the new Delish app. Easy, fast, fun, done. Delish. Download for free.
It's illegal to modify the suspension on a vehicle. A lowrider is making a statement.
We believe that cruising is not a crime.
We're going to stand up for our rights.
Only on Very Local. Emma, did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
Chronicle tonight, from heartbreak to hope.
Powerful testimony to how we can heal ourselves.
Happiness class.
Reflecting on your day with something positive.
And finding friendship when it's needed most. Chronicle finds the light. Tonight at 7:30.
We just find this little girl.
Harmony hadn't been seen in 2 years.
How does a little girl just vanish?
Hey, keep your hands where I can see them. How could the system break down this much?
Only on Very Local.
We are live in the newsroom. Really busy afternoon of breaking news. The investigation into both the Brown University campus shooting and the shooting death of that MIT professor in Brookline may have just broken wide open.
Our sources have confirmed that police have identified the person who they believe is connected to both of those shootings. We have crews that are spread all across the Providence area, Brookline as well, as we work tonight to figure out who this person is, where this person is. Our complete team coverage on News Center 5 at 5 starts right now. Let's take you live to Studio C.
WCVB News Center 5 at 5 starts right now.
Breaking first here at 5 o'clock. 5 Investigates has learned a person of interest has now been identified, and it's in connection with both the Brown University shooting and the murder of an MIT professor here in Brookline. Thanks for joining us tonight. Rapidly moving developments. Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Simonone.
And I'm Erica Tarantel. So this video still contains the most recent images we have of that person of interest. It was Saturday afternoon when 2 students were killed, 9 others shot inside a Brown University study session. And tonight, as we've said, 5 Investigates has learned authorities are looking at a possible connection between that mass shooting and the death of the MIT professor you just saw, Nuno Loureiro, I should say. He was shot and killed in his home in Brookline Monday.
All right, here's the very latest. There was supposed to be a news conference at 4 o'clock in Providence. That has been delayed, as obviously there have been rapidly moving developments in this story and in the police investigation. When there is a news conference, be it in Rhode Island or in Massachusetts, we will bring that to you when it happens live. Rhode Island Hospital says of the 9 people who were shot, 6 remain in their care. 3 have been discharged, and all 6 now are in stable condition. So that's an upgrade of their condition. Nobody left in critical. Our Emily Maha kicks off our live team coverage tonight. She is on Brown's campus outside that Barris and Holly building in Providence. Emily.
Well, Ben, Erica, there's an unsettled feeling in the city tonight. A lot of people from this community, staff, faculty, students, people who live around Brown University have been waiting anxiously for days for any kind of answer, any kind of information about who may have been responsible for the shooting that happened inside the School of Engineering. You can see that memorial of flowers that has been growing all week long outside of the building. That shooting happening Saturday afternoon around 4 o'clock during a study session. Police saying that a man walked in and began shooting, killing 2 students, freshman Muhammad Aziz Umerzakov and sophomore Ella Cook, and injuring 9 other classmates. I've been talking with students all week long, and they tell me they want to know why. They want to know why this happened, why someone walked into their classroom. I had the opportunity to be talking with a staff member at Brown University when we started to learn the details, the developing details of this case. You know, information bit by bit coming out that police starting to link these 2 cases together, the shooting here at Brown and the shooting at MIT. That was the point where I was sitting down with that staff member who works at Brown, and she tells me, I just hope that this can provide some answers. She told me it's like living in a surreal universe being on campus this week after everything that's happened. Again, that press conference was set to be at 4 o'clock at the Providence Safety Building, the Providence Public Safety Building, which is about 10 minutes across the city from campus. We know it has been pushed back. Hopefully we'll be getting some information in the coming hours. But again, this uneasy, unsettled feeling on campus as many here wait to learn any kind of information. I had the opportunity yesterday to speak with a woman who lives in Providence. She doesn't go to Brown University, and she tells me it's been scary. It's unsettling to be walking around the city streets knowing that whoever's responsible for this shooting still hasn't been arrested. Ben, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, certainly unsettling. And now to know, Emily, that perhaps the same person's responsible for what happened at Brown has happened at MIT.
Yeah, and this has been developing just within the past 2 hours. So our Brittany Johnson is there where the press conference was supposed to start, Brittany, at 4 o'clock. But we know now, until they have a real break in the case that they can deliver to us, they're going to keep you waiting.
That's right. And we have been waiting. That press conference was supposed to start here at the Public Safety Building at 4 o'clock. But as you know, and we have been reporting, major developments, a flurry of new developments have been happening within the last few minutes, even the last hour here. So we are here waiting for that press conference to start. We do know that this investigation has stretched 2 states, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. We know law enforcement has been out banging on doors. They've been interviewing people, following up on leads. So we know that they're doing that work right now. So we're waiting for the information that they're gathering to be delivered here at the press conference. We have a lot of questions regarding these latest developments that have happened, and we are here locked in, waiting to ask those questions about the latest developments here at this press conference. As soon as we get the press conference start, we will bring it to you here live on the air and on the WCVB app. But for now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Brittany, thank you for that. And so, Ben, I have to say, just a couple of days ago at that very press conference, someone asked, could these 2 shootings be connected? Right. At the time, they said no.
Right. Now, certainly we know otherwise. And that we, again, to bring you up to speed here, we understand that authorities have identified a person of interest connected to both the mass shooting at Brown and the murder of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro at his home in Brookline on Monday night. So that is certainly unsettling. There is now a region-wide manhunt underway for this individual. And there were some clues they gathered. Let's get to our John Atwater, who was in Brookline, where Professor Loureiro lived and where he was gunned down in the lobby of his apartment building, because one of the things that neighbors there said, John, is there was this dark sedan seen leaving the scene of that crime. And perhaps that was the crumb that authorities needed to start kind of connecting that to Brown and working backwards.
Yeah, that was about 9 o'clock Monday night, Ben, that there were reports of a sedan leaving this neighborhood after neighbors here heard a series of gunshots. And just for perspective, this crime scene is about 50 miles away from that engineering building where that mass shooting unfolded at Brown University. So about an hour's drive without traffic. You mentioned the lobby where that professor was gunned down. That is just behind us here. You see the lights on in that building behind us. That is where that murder played out. And that is where MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was killed, again, Monday night, right around 9 o'clock. What's not clear, though, is if any cameras caught the suspect's movement in this neighborhood. We mentioned the car, not clear if any cameras may have captured that car leaving this neighborhood, or if someone may have seen that car able to jot down a plate number. And again, this shooting, it played out 2 days after the mass shooting at Brown University Saturday afternoon. And again, the victim here, an engineering professor, the shooting at Brown, that unfolded inside that engineering building. The significance of that connection, that is not clear. Neighbors here, though, really troubled by this crime and doing what they can to support the professor's family.
That stuff doesn't really happen in Coolidge Corner. It's a pretty safe area. And so hearing that it was so close to like where we work was just, it's kind of mind blowing.
You know, and hearing from the people in the neighborhood, you get the same feeling that Emily's getting in Providence, just unsettled because there are so many lingering questions all these days later. Of course, people who live in this area are really hoping that this progress leads to an arrest to calm some of the fears here. We're live in Brookline. John Atwater, WCVB News Center 5.
All right, our thanks to John for that. And so one of the things that obviously authorities are now trying to figure out, if they have not already, is you have an MIT professor in Brookline who clearly appears to be the target, right? I mean, he's gunned down in the lobby of his home. This did not happen on the college
Shot several
campus.
times intentionally.
Yes. He's an engineering professor, physics, nuclear fusion. So the question then becomes, what was the target, or who was the target at Brown? In the engineering building, you know, you can't assume at 4 o'clock on Saturday, the last weekend that the college is in session for the fall, that there's definitely going to be classes going on. That's kind of a random time. So was there a target, and who was it? And then put these pieces together.
Yeah, and what information did that gunman have? What led him to that specific building in terms of who might be there, right? I mean, and it has been radio silence being part of the Brookline community. Brookline police have been very quiet about this killing since it happened. Now just hearing these developments, but neighbors certainly have been waiting and wondering for any crumb of information in that. Again, neighbors just saying they heard a car peel out. So how did this connection actually happen? To talk through this with us is John Grennan, a security expert with Lantel Communications. John, thanks for joining us today.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
So obviously one of the big questions, John, we can imagine that's happening right now from Rhode Island to Massachusetts and beyond, probably across New England, is if police have in fact identified this person. And if they still believe this person is in the region, at what point do they go to the public and say, this is who we're looking for, this may be the vehicle that they're driving, help us?
You know, I think it's safe to say with an incident happening last week and then an incident happening on Monday, with 2 municipalities involved and 2 states involved, I think the forensic evidence collection has probably led them to the point that they're at today. I think the police department probably has done their due diligence and is not in a position where they need to announce that to the public right now, because they're probably way ahead of that. When you think about Brown University being the entity that it is, the city of Providence having the technology they have, town of Brookline, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, roadways being covered, they probably have built a forensic pattern here based on video and the technology they have in the field alone, that they have most of their answers that they need. And I think we're probably in the next hour going to get those.
All right, I just want to bring you up to speed and bring our viewers up to speed, because we did just get a development here that law enforcement officials now, we know they have identified that possible suspect, but they have now issued a warrant for the individual's arrest as it's connected to the Brown University shooting. That is being sourced from our partners at ABC News. We had already learned, 5 Investigates has learned, that they had identified this person that they believe was connected to both shootings, Brown and the murder of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro, but now they have issued a warrant in connection with Brown, according to ABC.
Yeah, and so, John, we have been tracking police activity, again, really across New England. What would they be doing right now to really locate this person? If they have this arrest warrant, they know who they're looking for. Take us inside what they're doing right now.
Sure. So basically a background investigation on the perpetrator. So if they know who the perpetrator is, which they clearly do, they would be taking a look at that person's life, their patterns of movement, employees, employers, family members, friends, known locations, and then using technology to track that person. So you could use facial recognition technology on public and private surveillance systems to see if that person showed up. And then you could also be looking at things like credit card receipts, ATM transactions, sales that are made someplace, license plate reading technology that may pick up that vehicle. It really is endless. The level of technology, and it's a tapestry of technology that merged with solid law enforcement techniques, which the entities involved are certainly doing that today. It leads to an arrest and a successful prosecution.
You know, John, we were talking about this earlier this afternoon as this news was first breaking, and we're now in about 2.5 hours into this coverage. But we were kind of lacking. We had some video from Providence, that neighborhood kind of beyond the Brown campus, but it was scattered. We did not know how this individual got there or got away, right? And so I think the question is, did Brookline, the murder of the MIT professor, provide that nugget that authorities were missing? Maybe a license plate, maybe a car, maybe something more clear that we didn't get in Providence?
There is no doubt that with two incidents as heinous as this occurring in such close proximity, both in time and in geography, that the departments would have been speaking to each other. The Rhode Island State Police and the Massachusetts State Police in conjunction, being able to track movements of vehicles, would have also joined in on that. And then some of the grainy video that we saw on the Providence side, private cameras, businesses, residential structures that are shooting video that aren't really there to identify somebody, but to do some general observations of clothing, a path of flight for somebody. And again, and you're looking at some video right now, seasoned police officers looking at this, going from a residence to a business back to a residence, and then merging it with a municipal CCTV system that may be in place. Skilled investigators, they can put this together rapidly. And they did in this case. And I applaud them, all of the agencies that are involved. They've put it together in record time.
So we really did see, a considerable amount of similar video coming out of Providence. We saw no video released from the Brookline Police Department, no images.
Not to say they didn't have any.
That's what what I was going to ask. And so would there be a reason to withhold it? We know in Providence they were trying to push it out. They were trying to kind of work out from the inside and find the path of where this person went. Why would a police department not release images if they had them? It kind of goes to the same question as why not release the name now?
Sure. So if a police department had video of somebody and they knew who that person was, the release of that video could spook the suspect. The release of that video could involve other folks that are inside of that concentric circle that the suspect operates in. And it could really make the investigation more complex, and it could reduce the probability of making an arrest quickly. And don't forget, we're talking about homicides that have been perpetrated here. If a person is capable of doing that once, they're capable of doing that again. So we have skilled investigators at all of the departments that are involved, using technology to find the person, but at the same time do it methodically and not put other members of the public at risk. So I applaud them for using it and taking a very tactful approach to this. And clearly, it sounds like they have their person.
So, John, one more question for you before we go. We have some pretty big gaps in time here. I mean, it was about 55 hours or so between the mass shooting at Brown, 4 o'clock on Saturday, and the murder in Brookline of the MIT professor, 9 o'clock Monday night. And then it's been, 72 hours or so since then. So if police have this person's ID, I'd imagine now they're also trying to figure out what they've been doing in the intervening time periods, right? Credit card swipes and those kinds of things, correct?
Positively. They're putting together a timeline from incident 1 to incident 2, also bringing them up to today. So they're putting a timeline together. Let's not forget there could be other people that are involved in this, other people that were involved in the event, other people that were involved in procuring a weapon or ammunition for an event, other people that could be involved in a conspiracy. So for law enforcement to be as careful and methodical as they're being, I would expect nothing less. And I think that that's exactly what they're doing here.
All right, John Grennan, if you would hang with us, but we're going to peel away for a second. We really appreciate your insight on this. We want to recap where we are right now. We were expecting a press conference around 4 o'clock in Providence. That has been put on hold. until further notice, really because things are developing so quickly. We now know that a person of interest has been identified connected to both the Brown University mass shooting and the murder of an MIT professor in Brookline, Massachusetts. We also know, according to multiple sources from ABC News, that an arrest warrant has been issued for an individual's arrest. So we are on top of this, and we'll bring you any developments as they happen.
Be right back.
Running a successful delivery company has taught me something. You're only as good as your tools. That's why we have AT&T Business.
We're here.
You're where? There's nothing here.
Just trust the connection.
What? You guys are early. I like that. Is this your first bunker?
Oh, so you corporate types are rock stars? That's like me being a corporate type. Has anyone ever told you who you look like? Gwen Stefani? Gwen Stefani? No. Rachel from HR.
Yeah, Rachel from HR. She's a total rock star.
Rachel from what? Gwen Stefani?
What are you talking about?
Surgery at South Shore Health is advanced, comprehensive, skilled, and experienced. With over 100 surgeons across many specialties, expert care is closer than you think. South Shore Health.
Ready to cook smarter and eat better? Meet your new kitchen sidekick, the Delish app, with 10,000 plus recipes made for real life and new ideas every day. Cooking just got a whole lot easier and way more fun with the new Delish app. Easy, fast, fun, done. Delish. Download for free.
Age is not just a number. It's what makes me fierce, knowledgeable, strong,
confident about taking risks in life,
unapologetically owning every moment,
resilient, hopeful, resourceful, and unapologetic,
fearless.
And I'm finally at that stage where I appreciate that.
Age is what has given me wisdom. Age is what has given me I don't give a
Age is not just a number.
It is what makes me a force.
And I'm learning to really, truly embrace it all.
Winter in Boston doesn't wait.
Everything is going to freeze up.
Cindy Fitzgibbon leads Boston's most accurate team.
This is the next threat on our radar.
Warning you first.
Freezing rain is reaching toward the mass high.
Tracking every frost, every flake, every flash freeze.
Now we pick up the intensity
with Boston's only 24/7 live radar.
Watch that rain snow line.
The alerts you need.
Here comes our next snowmaker.
The experience you trust.
Developing a pretty significant storm.
When seconds count, trust Boston's weather leader, Storm Team.
We're following fast-moving breaking news this evening. 5 Investigates has learned a person of interest has now been identified in connection to both the Brown University mass shooting and the shooting death of an MIT professor. This is the most recent video of the Brown University person of interest. ABC News reports law enforcement officials have identified a possible suspect in connection to the Brown shooting and have issued a warrant for that individual's arrest.
All right, so this has moved rapidly throughout the afternoon, and it's a pretty stunning development, right? I mean, we've had a mass shooting at
connecting
Brown.
the two.
Yes, connecting the two, and then which killed 2 students and injured 7, and then 50 miles up the road, 2.5 days later, Monday night, we have the murder, which appears to be the intentional target of an MIT professor. The connection. We are making this because it's readily available to the public. It seems to be engineering. It's an engineering MIT professor. It was the engineering at Brown. We don't know specifically what the target or what the motivation may have been for either. But it's not often that you have 2 killings like this, both connected to higher education 2 states away.
Oh, no. And our Emily Maha has been on the ground in Providence since the mass shooting happened over the weekend in front of that very building where those shots rang out. And you see the memorial behind you. Emily, what are you hearing there from people who may be passing by, hearing that there is movement now in this case?
Well, Ben, Erica, a lot of people feel really unsettled. They feel really uneasy with these new developments. You know, this is their community. This is their safe haven, this sense of security that was shattered since Saturday. And for days, they've been waiting for any kind of information. And now it feels like a lot of things are happening all at once, but we still don't have a lot of answers. Earlier this week, Providence Police putting out this video you can take a look at. This is who they were calling a person of interest. These were the pictures and images, the video that we had been relying on for days, trying to piece together who may be responsible for this campus shooting, this mass shooting at Brown University that left 2 students dead and 9 students injured. So these were the images that everyone in this community was just glued to. Everyone searching their Ring cameras, the video cameras on their car, their Teslas, their Rivians, any kind of information that maybe could help police. So now that we're having these new developments, again, there's this unsettledness on campus, this unsettled, tense energy out here in the city of Providence, especially up on College Hill, where, you know, we are learning that police believe they have this person who is connected to both the shooting here at Brown University as well as the shooting death of that MIT professor. I've been speaking with students all week long, people who work here at Brown, and they are just hoping that police will be able to soon provide them with some more information about who's responsible for this. But for right now, it's very tense, it's very uncomfortable, and a lot of people here say it's unnerving, it's scary as they wait for more information about this investigation. Ben, Erica?
Well, I mean, absolutely. And to know that this individual, connected now to both, clearly has been in New England for a good chunk of the last week.
Well, and I think we were both in Providence, and there was certainly a feeling of unease there. Is the person still there? And now it seems apparent that this person was traveling around, not necessarily in the city of Providence, but certainly if they're connected, came all the way to Massachusetts and perhaps, throughout New England.
Right.
So at this point, there is kind of unease across the region, but certainly in Providence, there was a feeling, is he hiding among us?
Let's get to our Sharman Saketi. Sharman, you spent some time in Brookline this week, and the question was asked of officials in Providence if these 2 cases were connected, and their initial reaction was no. We now have learned that that is not the case, and they are connected. Were you getting that question from folks in that Brookline neighborhood?
Well, we certainly were. A lot of people had a lot of questions, and right now they want to know how police are exactly linking these 2 cases. We know MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was shot in the lobby of his home in Brookline. We know there were reports of a car leaving that scene. Former FBI agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garrett explains how investigators could be working to discover a possible connection between the 2 shootings.
Here are the possibilities that with shell casings, you could get 2 potential things. When you load, assuming it's the same type of weapon, which has a magazine, which means you have to manually load the bullets. And if you don't wear gloves, you're going to leave a fingerprint on the casing. I've solved a lot of cases that way. You also could get DNA potentially off these casings. The other possibility is they got a good tag number through a surveillance camera, through a neighbor, through whatever. And the combination of all of those or some of those has got them hot on the trail of Mr. X.
So questions about license plate numbers, questions about ballistics. He adds that while people want to know the motivation for these shootings, the main focus right now, of course, has to be on finding and detaining the suspects, or the key to get this suspect in custody. Ben and Erica.
Sharman, thank you for that. And talking about DNA, we did learn yesterday afternoon in Providence that some DNA had been recovered from that scene. So you have to wonder if that potentially played a role in connecting the 2 cases.
Right. Did they find DNA in Brookline? We
Especially
don't know.
On the casings, as we just heard there, a potential.
Right. A lot of potential. One thing we do know is that authorities have now connected these 2 cases. They have identified the person they are looking for, and we know an arrest warrant has at least been issued in the Brown case at this point.
Yeah, so from 2 places now, we know an arrest warrant has been issued for Brown, but we also know the 2 are connected, according to investigators. We're going to stay on top of this. This is developing as we speak, minute by minute. We're going to take a quick break and be right back.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect. We're going to do everything in our power to blow your mind. There's magic in the eras.
This is the biggest challenge we've ever done. Tonight, we complete that challenge.
For one last time.
Ready to cook smarter and eat better? Meet your new kitchen sidekick, the Delish app. With 10,000+ recipes made for real life and new ideas every day. Cooking just got a whole lot easier and way more fun with the new Delish app. Easy, fast, fun, done. Delish. Download for free.
Age is not just a number. It's what makes me fierce, knowledgeable, strong,
confident about taking risks in life,
Unapologetically owning every moment.
Resilient,
Hopeful, resourceful, and unapologetic.
fearless. And I'm finally at that stage where I appreciate that.
Age is what has given me wisdom. Age is what has given me, like, I don't give a.
Age is not just a number.
It is what makes me a force.
And I'm learning to really, truly embrace it all.
Cruising is alive and well.
It's illegal to modify the suspension on a vehicle.
Modesto Police Patrol McHenry.
A lowrider is making a statement.
The car does embody resistance.
At the state capitol, a proposal to repeal a ban on lowrider cruising.
We believe that cruising is not a crime.
Could you call it systemic racism? Yes.
Our own gente went to fight for our rights. They stood up then, we're going to stand up now.
Only on Very Local.
And we have rapidly breaking developments in both the Brown University shooting and the murder of an MIT professor. Let's bring you up to speed with what we know. 5 Investigates has confirmed that police have identified a person they are looking for in both the mass shooting at Brown over the weekend and the murder of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro Monday night in Brookline. There is a region-wide manhunt underway for that individual across New England. And ABC News sources now confirm that an arrest warrant has been issued in connection with the Brown shooting.
As far as the 2 shootings went, just to remind you, it was around 4:05 Saturday evening when shots were fired at Brown University inside a university study session for an economics class. It was in an engineering building. 2 students were killed, 9 others were hurt. Then Monday night, more than 48 hours later, dozens of miles away in Brookline, about 50 miles away, an MIT professor was shot inside his apartment building on Gibbs Street. 47-year-old Nuno Loureiro was the director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, a husband and a father who it almost looked like was assassinated.
Yeah, it was clearly targeted, and it seems to be. We have crews spread across New England. We were expecting a 4 o'clock press conference on Brown in Providence. That was delayed, which indicates, again, this is rapidly developing. Quick break. We'll be right back.
Ready to cook smarter and eat better? Meet your new kitchen sidekick, the Delish app, with 10,000 plus recipes made for real life and new ideas every day. Cooking just got a whole lot easier and way more fun with the new Delish app. Easy, fast, fun, done. Delish. Download for free.
Age is not just a number. It's what makes me fierce, knowledgeable, strong,
confident about taking risks in life,
Unapologetically owning every moment.
Resilient,
Hopeful, resourceful, and unapologetic.
Fearless.
and I'm finally at that stage where I appreciate that.
Age is what has given me wisdom. Age is what has given me, like, I don't give a.
Age is not just a number.
It is what makes me a force.
And I'm learning to really, truly embrace it all.
I'm going to stop using the word catastrophic because that doesn't describe what's about to happen to you guys.
A 20-foot wall of water came crashing through the gorge.
I really thought I was just going to drown in my own house.
We were basically trapped on a little island.
There was people dying and there was nothing that we were able to do about it.
No part of my life is the same as it was before Helene.
Streaming on Very Local.
The designers behind social media know how to draw us in.
Any platform you see influencers promoting these different brands, there are a lot of risks.
Most of these are not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration.
His muscles were just growing faster than his bones.
The algorithms got you, and it'll send you more and more of these images.
Streaming now on Very Local.
November 7th, 1996.
Firefighters are dwarfed by the wall of flames.
All anyone can do is watch, wait, and wonder what this fire means for a small community that's made a way of life from the bourbon burning in its warehouses.
It remains the worst tragedy to ever hit the industry.
Kind of felt helpless, you know.
They don't expect what happens next. Bourbon Blaze, the night that tested America's spirit. Only on Very Local.
There were so many people that needed rescuing.
Got you, sir.
These guys gave everything they had. I'm not here. I'm a firefighter.
Streaming on Very Local.
WCVB News Center 5 at 5:30 starts right now.
All right, the big breaking story tonight here at 5:35 Investigates has learned a person of interest has now been identified in connection with both the Brown University mass shooting and the murder of an MIT professor in Brookline this week. Thank you for joining us, staying with us. I'm Ben Simoneau.
And I'm Erica Tarantil. ABC News sources confirm law enforcement has issued a warrant for the arrest of the individual in the Brown University shooting. And sources tell News Center 5 their search now includes New Hampshire. This video still contains the most recent images of the person of interest. It was Saturday afternoon when 2 students were killed, 9 others hurt in that mass shooting inside a Brown University study session. And again tonight, 5 Investigates learning authorities are looking at this possible connection between that shooting and the killing of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro. He was shot and killed in his home, in his apartment building in Brookline Monday night.
So here is the very latest. A news conference set for 4 o'clock in Rhode Island is still on hold. We will bring that to you when it happens. Rhode Island Hospital says of the 9 people who were shot and who did not die, just 6 remain in their care. All of them now upgraded. They're all in stable condition. At least one had still been in critical as of late yesterday. Our Emily Maha kicks off our live team coverage tonight. She is on Brown's campus outside that Barris and Holly engineering building where that memorial behind you still grows. Emily.
Oh, Ben, all week there's been a heaviness on campus, and tonight you can feel a tension. It feels like the mood, the energy here on College Hill has kind of shifted in the last few hours as we've learned these developments. Many here in this community just waiting for any kind of information for days. They've been waiting to learn more. This is some of the pictures and video that we've been seeing over the last couple of days from the Providence Police Department, releasing these photos and images of a person of interest connected to the Brown University shooting. This is someone that they've been waiting to talk to, hoping to talk to, looking to talk to. Many here in the Brown University community just glued to those images, hoping that police would provide them some kind of information or update. This shooting happened on Saturday afternoon. Police say a man walked into a study session in one of the classrooms within the School of Engineering and started shooting, killing 2 students. If we can take a look at those 2 students, freshman Muhammad Aziz Umerzakov was a neuroscience major from Virginia. His friends tell me he was a ball of joy that could make everyone smile. We know he wasn't even enrolled in that economics class that the study session was for. Friends telling me that he had gone there to help out another friend who was preparing for that exam. And
so I've been monitoring the news, and all I had is that
Ella Cook, she was an accomplished pianist. She was fluent
they
in
do
French,
definitely believe that Brookline. So I made a mistake there
when
I was saying
the
that
sophomore
Brookline
from
happened 4
Alabama
hours later. It
was the
actually was
vice
2 hours,
president
2
of the
days
College
later.
Republicans of
So I made a
Brown
mistake when I
University.
totally
Just
forgot
2
that.
very remarkable young people whose lives
times,
were
but
cut
2 days later.
too incredibly short. So many here in this
And
community,
from what we're
not only
seeing,
grieving the loss and what
does seem to
happened
be
here
some
on campus,
connection
but also
between the two
on
cases.
edge as police continue to search for
one
whoever
of the
was
victims
responsible
in Brown
for this
was a Muslim
heinous
student,
crime.
so I don't
Ben,
think it
Erica?
has anything
Yeah,
to do
absolutely.
with that.
Our Emily Maha for us on the campus of Brown tonight. Emily, thank you. And Erica,
I'm
you
sorry,
sat
that's
down
what I
with the
said at
mayor
the
of
TV.
Providence
Good point.
yesterday, Brett Smiley, and you asked him that very question.
Thank you. Good point. I didn't have my headphone on, so I couldn't hear it myself. So anyways, I'll just repeat what I said. So I made a mistake earlier when I said that the attack at Brookline was 4 hours later. It was actually 2 days later. I just had forgot that. And it looks like one of the students killed in Brown was Muslim, so I don't think that's the motive here. So what's the common indicator here, the common line here is that you had an MIT professor very high level professor, and you had the Brown Engineering School. That's the only kind of connections between the two that we can find here. So again, I go back to someone like the Unabomber, who was very much against technology. Yeah, but Maui, I don't think that's relevant because one of the students that was killed at Brown was Muslim. So it looks to me like it's going to be more turn out to be the common denominator here will be the engineering and the MIT professor who was also an engineer studied fusion reactions and stuff like that. Does anybody have any more recent information? Looks like we're still not close to this press conference, and I don't know if that's because an arrest is underway. Ashley doesn't believe that the MIT murder is related to Brown in any way, but the police are indicating that it is. No, we don't come out looking for handouts. We never ask for anything. We ask people to subscribe. Let's see what they're talking about on the Channel 5.
Was there a crumb of evidence that was just enough, be it a car, a license plate, something, maybe DNA there, shell casings that matched that they were able to then connect the two. And once you have two incidents, you have more, strands to explore, more avenues to explore. And we want to make this clear. We now know this is a region-wide manhunt underway. Hundreds, if not thousands of law enforcement looking for this person who has been identified in connection with both the Brown University shooting and the murder that happened Monday night in Brookline, which is where our John Atwater is standing by live there. It's hard to tell, John. I would imagine this is both unsettling and probably reassuring for folks who live there that they are making progress in this.
Yeah, Ben, there's been so much fear in this neighborhood all week because the neighbors around here really have had few answers. You bring up that point about the evidence. Earlier in the week, investigators said that they didn't think that there was a link between these two cases. And then it seems as if something developed just in the last day or so that allowed them to make that potential connection. So you're right. There has been fear in this neighborhood, but now there is hope that police could be a little closer to an arrest. Just to show you the lay of the land here, just behind us here, this is where MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was killed, right in the lobby of this building where he lived with his family. There has been, as we mentioned, very little information released about this horrific crime. But as we've been saying, there were reports of a car taking off from this street after neighbors heard a series of gunshots. This was again Monday night around 9. But police, they have not released any images of a car or a suspect in this neighborhood. And really, it's not clear if they have been able to recover any video. So still, of course, a lot of questions. And neighbors here, they have been stopping by to leave flowers on the professor's doorstep.
That stuff doesn't really happen in Coolidge Corner. It's a pretty safe area. And so hearing that it was so close to where we work was it's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, certainly surprising for people.
If I was an engineering professor at any school in the area now, I'd be kind of keeping an extra eye out, a little bit, be careful. If you're an engineering professor or a PhD student, someone like that, I'd be a little bit careful. I think this is going to be someone who has an issue with technology. Okay, I'm going to leave this on again for a little while, and but I will be monitoring it. And if it looks like there's not going to be a press conference, at some point we'll end it. But I think there will be a press conference, so there may even be an arrest that's imminent. So we'll see what happens. So I'll leave it on for at least till 6, anyways.
All right, so I have to be honest with you. This has had some eerie connections and feels to that 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, and then the search, the region-wide search, which we understand is underway right now across New England. What are law enforcement doing right now from your perspective?
Well, most definitely you can feel the parallel sense of urgency that law enforcement has right now in comparison. But right now, this is a mad dash by law enforcement to get this person into custody safely and quickly, because you went from a localized public safety issue there near Brown and now obviously at MIT, but now you have a region-wide, almost a New England-wide public safety crisis. So their efforts are squarely focused on finding this individual and getting them into custody safely.
You know about the hurdles, the obstacles when it comes to a days-long manhunt, because you led exactly that. So what do you think in terms of the timing it has been? People have felt like it's taken so long, but of course everyone's on edge, so every day seems like an eternity. And what do you think people, the investigators had to sift through given the time span? Because you had a similar time span, although a smaller radius, we now know.
Without a doubt. So they've gone not only through physical evidence with related forensic examination of that physical evidence, they've gone through digital media evidence, all this camera footage that we keep hearing about, now seeing since they've released it. We've gone through cell phone analysis, again, a huge tactic and tool of law enforcement these days. And we've also had eyewitness interviews. And then on top of that now, as of yesterday, this release, this public outsourcing of this photo to say, hey, does anybody recognize this individual from that day in that area or anywhere? Obviously, putting all that together frantically so they could identify this person, which they obviously have now identified. But now the effort is squarely focused. Let's get this person into custody safely and as quickly as possible so we can abate this public safety crisis that now is enveloping the entire region.
So talk about the federal role here, because, you know, the lead at Brown has been Providence Police. It's been Brookline Police with Massachusetts State Police assisting with the murder of the MIT professor. But this is where the federal government certainly comes into play here, right, with this multi-state, really region-wide search, I would imagine.
This is team law enforcement at its best, across counties, across cities, across states, and across agencies. And clearly, every agency has a role to play. Every agency has jurisdiction to bring. Every agency has skills and capabilities to bring. But as you're seeing, team law enforcement has come together. And sure, there are certain leads for certain things, but this is a united effort. And I think we've heard that pretty consistently. Be whoever's behind the podium, whether it's the colonel of the Rhode Island or the Providence Police or the Attorney General of Rhode Island or other officials, you're seeing a unified effort here from team law enforcement across the board, again, to get this guy in custody.
So law enforcement, all hands on deck. What role would the public still have to play at this point? We know that the public has been asked for video to be vigilant. We also know with the Boston Marathon bomber, it was, you know, someone who was paying attention and alerted police that something was going on with his boat was awry. You know, what role does the public have right now?
Exactly that. If the public sees something that doesn't make sense to them or strikes a concern for them, they need to call police immediately. There should be no hesitation by the public right now. Now, I say that and realize there is no doubt a lot of stray voltage. I have no doubt law enforcement is getting inundated with calls and tips online to say, hey, what about this? What about that? And then on top of that, given that this is breaking as we speak, there's definitely a lot of fear that's going to also cause people to call for things that are unrelated. That being said, law enforcement knows they still could use the public's help, but we still have to give law enforcement the space to operate. And again, their goal is safety of the entire community to get this person into custody.
So speaking of that space, perfect segue here, can we infer, based on the fact that law enforcement has not come out and said, this is the person we're looking for, this may or may not be the vehicle they're driving, can we infer that they are then perhaps making progress?
Well, we don't have to infer they're making progress. We know they're making progress. Right. We knew it as of yesterday.
But as far as like actually taking this person into custody, right?
Well, we certainly hope so. I think any inferences beyond the fact that they're making progress is a little dangerous, only for the fact that we don't want to get ahead of team law enforcement here. We want to be supportive of team law enforcement as the viewing public, as the media, right? Because this is still a public safety crisis. We don't know, you know, obviously law enforcement knows who this person is. Hopefully they have a lead on where he is, or they're getting closer and closer and closer, and that net is tightening. But we also don't know if he's not in custody yet. We don't know if this person is planning to do something else. And that's the thing that why law enforcement is so laser-like focused on this.
Yeah. Okay. Kieran Ramsey, former FBI Assistant Director with Global Reach. We really appreciate you taking time with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks.
All right, so let's recap here. We now know, we have confirmed that law enforcement have identified a person they believe connected to both the mass shooting at Brown University and the murder of an MIT professor Monday night in Brookline. And ABC News has learned that an arrest warrant has now been issued in connection with Brown. There is a region-wide manhunt underway, hundreds if not thousands of law enforcement actively looking for this person.
Yeah, as soon as we get any update, of course, we'll bring it to you right here. We're going to take a quick break and come right back.
Of the 1 in 10 Massachusetts residents who have unclaimed money, 591,680 people have overpaid a utility bill. 440 are named Nicole, and 1 just got money back today. Find out if you have unclaimed funds at findmassmoney.gov.
Ready to cook smarter and eat better? Meet your new kitchen sidekick, the Delish app, with 10,000 plus recipes made for real life and new ideas every day. Cooking just got a whole lot easier and way more fun with the new Delish app. Easy, fast, fun, done. Delish. Download for free.
Age is not just a number. It's what makes me fierce, knowledgeable, strong,
confident about taking risks in life,
unapologetically owning every moment,
resilient, hopeful, resourceful, and unapologetic,
fearless.
And I'm finally at that stage where I appreciate that.
Age is what has given me wisdom. Age is what has given me like I don't give a
Age is not just a number.
It is what makes me a force.
And I'm learning to really, truly embrace it all.
He's Mayberry's sheriff without a gal.
Hello, doll.
Will Andy go a-courting with Bachelorette number 1?
She's a real nice lady, Paul.
Number 2?
Paul, that girl can do everything.
Or number 3?
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Play along in the game of love.
Just think, one of them might be the next Mrs. Andy Taylor.
On the Andy Griffith Show.
Weeknights at 8 on MeTV Boston.
Yeah, boy.
It was a pretty average beginning of fall kind of day. There's no reason to be concerned about anything.
Fire out of control.
911 fire emergency. People are running down the street.
It was my first pregnancy. I could smell smoke in the hospital room.
My neighbor was just screaming, "Get out, get out, get out."
Something unnatural had happened.
Only on Very Local.
If you stop breathing or your heart stopped beating, there was no one to provide medical assistance.
You have a group of young African Americans, and you're going to teach them what?
Only on Very Local.
We are staying on top of breaking news. Sources telling News Center 5 the search for the suspect in the Brown University shooting and MIT shooting now includes New Hampshire. 5 Investigates has learned a person of interest is now identified in connection to both of the shootings. This is the most recent video of the person of interest that has been circulating by Providence police. So at this point, they're closing in, we hope.
Yeah, make no mistake, this is a region-wide manhunt underway as they've identified this person, and we certainly are hoping that they are making progress toward taking that person into custody. Let's get to our Sharman Saketi. She was working the MIT professor killing this week, and it certainly seemed, Sharman, that individual, Nuno Loureiro, gunned down in the lobby of his home, not on the MIT campus. So the inference there is that he certainly was targeted.
Right, and we never got actual confirmation of that, but we can say it happened in the lobby of his home. Of course, a lot of questions tonight about how police are connecting these two cases. The MIT professor was shot in the lobby downstairs of his home in Brookline. We know there were reports of a car leaving that scene. We know neighbors reported hearing 3 gunshots. Former FBI agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garrett explained how investigators could be working to discover what that connection was between the two shootings.
Here are the possibilities that with shell casings, you could get 2 potential things. You know, when you load, assuming it's the same type of weapon, which has a magazine, which means you have to manually load the bullets. And if you don't wear gloves, you're going to leave a fingerprint on the casing. I've solved a lot of cases that way. You also could get DNA potentially off these casings. The other possibility is they got a good tag number through a surveillance camera, through a neighbor, through whatever. And the combination of all of those or some of those has got them hot on the trail of Mr. X.
So surveillance video, ballistics, potentially license plate numbers. He adds, while everyone wants to know the motivation for these shootings, the main focus, of course, right now is finding and detaining that suspect. So the key is to get that suspect in custody, which we hope happens soon.
Yeah, everyone eager for that. Sharman Saketi live in the newsroom for us. Thank you, Sharman, for that. So again, Mr. X, as our expert said, that person of interest we now know connected between Brown University and the MIT killing on Monday. We're back with more after a quick break.
Age is not just a number. It's what makes me fierce, knowledgeable, strong,
Confident about taking risks in life.
Unapologetically owning every moment.
Resilient,
Hopeful, resourceful, and unapologetic.
fearless. And I'm finally at that stage where I appreciate that.
Age is what has given me wisdom. Age is what has given me I don't give a
Age is not just a number.
It is what makes me a force.
And I'm learning to really, truly embrace it all.
Ready to cook smarter and eat better? Meet your new kitchen sidekick, the Delish app, with 10,000 plus recipes made for real life and new ideas every day. Cooking just got a whole lot easier and way more fun with the new Delish app. Easy, fast, fun, done. Delish. Download for free.
Chronicle tonight, from heartbreak to hope.
Powerful testimony to how we can heal ourselves.
Happiness class.
Reflecting on your day with something positive.
And finding friendship when it's needed most. Chronicle finds the light. Tonight at 7:30.
If you stop breathing or your heart stopped beating, there was no one to provide any type of medical assistance.
An ambulance was unheard of.
They analyzed how many people were dying. It was astronomical.
They would dispatch a police wagon. You were at their mercy.
We needed something to change so we could save lives. Freedom House Ambulance changed the game.
Here you have a group of young African Americans, and you're going to teach them what? How to save somebody's life. It was a bold endeavor, but it was one that changed the history of pre-hospital care.
This organization is the foundation of EMS across this country.
Only on Very Local.
There were so many people that needed rescuing.
These guys gave everything they had.
I'm not here. I'm a firefighter.
Streaming on Very Local.
We continue to follow big developments. 5 Investigates confirms police have identified the person of interest in the mass shooting at Brown University and the murder of an MIT professor in Brookline.
So here's the latest that we know right now. ABC News sources confirm that law enforcement has issued a warrant for the arrest of the individual in connection with the Brown shooting. And sources tell News Center 5 there is an active search across the region. It now includes New Hampshire. Hundreds of people in law enforcement across New England looking for this individual.
So let's recap the timeline. It was around 4:05 Saturday evening when shots were fired at Brown University inside a university study session for an economics class in an engineering building. 2 people were killed, a sophomore and a freshman. 9 others were hurt. Then Monday night in Brookline, Massachusetts, an MIT professor was shot inside his apartment building on Gibbs Street. 47-year-old Nuno Loureiro was the director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center.
We have crews across New England tonight. The latest, of course, still ahead. News Center 5 at 6 starts right now.
WCVB News
If they don't go to a press conference
starts right
at
now.
6.
We begin at 6 o'clock tonight with the breaking news that we have been following here at News Center 5 all afternoon. Sources telling 5 Investigates tonight that police have identified the person that they think is connected to the deadly shootings at Brown University in Rhode Island and the killing of an MIT professor in Brookline, and have issued a warrant for that person's arrest. Sources tonight tell us that the search for the suspect now includes New Hampshire.
Ella Cook and Mohammed Azir Umarzakov were killed. 9 other students were shot and wounded. On Saturday, Professor Nuno Loureiro was shot and killed Monday night. Both communities are devastated and on edge since those attacks. Hello, everybody. I'm Maria Stefanos.
And I'm Ed Harding. And the information about a possible connection between the 2 incidents was developed in the last 24 hours as detectives working on both cases compared notes.
All right, let's give you a live picture right now from Providence. A news conference was scheduled for 4 o'clock. That still has not happened. This is a very active scene right now in Massachusetts. We're going to continue to monitor that press conference that is expected to happen, and we'll bring that to you live when that happens. We do have live team coverage tonight in Massachusetts and in Rhode Island. Let's begin with News Center 5's Emily Maha live at Brown University with the latest. Emily.
Well, Maria, there's been a heaviness here on College Hill all week long, and tonight there's this tension in the air here at Brown University. This is the School of Engineering. This is where that shooting happened on Saturday afternoon. You can see that memorial of flowers there behind me. It has been growing all week long. People stopping by throughout the week, dropping off flowers, leaving candles and cards. I had the opportunity to speak with a number of students here on campus, and for a lot of them, they tell me there's this uneasiness. One telling me that Brown University, their school, was a safe haven, their place of safety, and telling me that sense of security has been shattered since that shooting on Saturday. And today I had the opportunity to speak with a staff member here at Brown University. She tells me it's like living in a fog, living in a surreal universe where you can't focus on anything but what's happening at hand. I was sitting with her as we started to learn today's developments, possibly connecting the shooting here at Brown University with that shooting death of the MIT professor. And as I was talking with that staffer, as we were learning piece by piece information, she told me, I just hope that this can bring some answers. I hope it can bring some closure that we've all been searching and waiting for. She tells me it's been an incredibly difficult, confusing, and devastating time here on campus. Ed, Maria?
Emily Maha, live in Providence. Thank you so much for that. Our live team coverage continues right now with News Center 5's John Atwater.
Live in Brookline, where that MIT professor was gunned down, John.
And Maria, you know, Emily describes the fear that has gripped the Brown community and that neighborhood surrounding the school. The same fear has gripped this neighborhood all week. Now, this shooting, it played out just behind us here in the building at the beginning of this block, that gunfire erupting there. Neighbors say they heard a series of gunshots Monday night, and there are reports that a car took off from the scene. MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was killed, and this all happened in the lobby of his building here. He is the director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He's an engineering professor, and the shooting at Brown played out in an engineering building. Not clear if that connection is significant to the police investigation at this point. The shooting at Brown, it happened around 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and then 50 miles away here in Brookline, that professor was killed around 9 Monday night. People are now leaving flowers on the front steps of the building where that professor lived with his family.
That stuff doesn't really happen in Coolidge Corner. It's a pretty safe area, and so hearing that it was so close to like where we work was just
Thanks for being here, guys. I think it's
kind of
time to end it.
mind-blowing.
You know, we can wait all night to see if this press conference.
So at this point, we don't know what evidence
when the next
has
breaking
led
news is
investigators
going
to
be on this
connect
story.
these two cases, but
So,
we do
let's
know
call
that
it
they
a night,
developed that
and,
new
I will
information
see
in the last
everybody
day or so,
perhaps sometime
because
this week.
initially they told us they did not think these two cases were